All praise, Lord, now is most certainly due to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And peace to you in the name of Jesus. This is your brother Elisha Israel of the household of faith. And I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before the preach the word of God. Never do I count it as a light thing to do so. All right, brothers and sisters, I want to get right into today's topic. And the topic is, the title is rather, to come out of Babylon. Come out of Babylon. When you look at what Abraham did, the Most High called him out of the hub of false worship, because Babylon is where it all began. And we'll find out, in the course of this lesson, I probably gonna split it up into sections. That we'll find out that, peace to you, brother, that Babylon is still in effect today, as far as importance when it comes to spiritual. But is that banner has been taken by another that has become Babylon. We'll see that. Okay, but what I want to do is I want to start off in Psalms, the 19th division, because there is so much misunderstanding about from the atheists who says there is a God, to agnostics who want to spend their time contemplating and wondering, and then you have the so-called Christians and the Muslims and the Hindus. Everybody has their concept of just who God is. But the scriptures, which is the word of God, it tells us who he is. And this is not some book, not just some, as they call, some white man's book that just came up. No, this is a record of ultimately, basically, the Creator, the Father, and the Son, basically creating man, manifesting himself unto a particular people, leaving a record of what he requires, putting forth prophecy to show that he is indeed the true and living God. Okay? Just to show you what I'm talking about. Let's go to, give me a second. This is Isaiah, the 46th chapter, and verse 9. It says, peace to you. It says, remember the former things of old, for I am God and there is none else. I am God and there is none like me. Right? He tells you what he does. He says, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasures. See, the Quran doesn't do this. Right? The Book of the Mormon doesn't do this. Not tell the end from the beginning. Okay, and that's what the scriptures do. But let's go to Psalms, the 19th division. I want to pick it up in Psalms, the 19th chapter, with how you know there's a God in the first place. I'm in Psalms, the 19th division. I want to pick it up at verse 1. It says, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Okay, so the heavens, brothers and sisters, the heavens are declaring, they're speaking to us, telling us that God exists. So it said, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth his speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. So wherever you go, day unto day and night unto night, it's uttering unto us, it speaks unto us. What is it telling us? It tells us that there is a God. See, even our own existence, as the philosopher said, I think, therefore I am. Even our own existence, the creation, it speaks to a creator. If I hold up a book, there are some things that you can conclude. Number one, that there's an author somewhere, right? So when you look at the creation, you can conclude that there's a creator somewhere. See, it's not rocket science in the sense of understanding that there's something greater than man, right? If there's no God, there is no purpose for our existence. Right? These are things we should think about, brothers and sisters, and truly contemplate. So it says, day after day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech, no language where their voice is not heard. He says, their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. So everywhere you see the sun. Now, the people of antiquity, the pagans, and many others throughout various cultures have worshipped the sun and personified the sun and made the sun into God as opposed to acknowledging the one who made the sun. They look at the sun as the giver of life, but rather it is God who gives life. So through what he made. So it says, their line is gone out through all the earth there, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it. So he's talking about the orbit of the sun, which science tell you does have an orbit. See, the Bible is telling you things, all kind of science. I did lessons a few years ago about the science of the Bible. Now, there's so much within the Bible, the biblical text, telling you about science. Okay, that is accurate. I'm in verse 6. It says, his going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it. And there is nothing here from the heat thereof. Then he says something. So he's showing you the wonderful works of God. Then he says something. So now you got the manifestation of God through his creation. So once you understand that there's a creator, your natural logical step, brothers and sisters, is to find out what this higher power, what this God, what's this creator requires of us. Okay? So you should seek him because of who he is. So it says, because even if you think about it, he manifests himself unto you, and then he gives you instruction. When the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. When he made Adam came into his consciousness, and that alone showed him that there was a God. And then that God that made him gave him instruction, commandment. All the trees of the garden thou mayest freely eat. He said, I made this for you. He said, of all the trees of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge in the midst of the garden, thou shalt not eat it, neither shalt thou touch it, lest you die. That was referring to communion with Satan. See, man could have communed with God and never died. So he says, his going forth is from the end of the heaven, I'm in verse 6, and his circuit unto the ends of it. And there is nothing here from the heat thereof. Then it says something, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgment of the Lord are true and righteous all together. Okay, so that's what it is. So now let's go to John. Well, actually, let's go to Genesis. I'm going to pick it up at Genesis, the 10th chapter. Genesis, the 10th chapter. And I want to pick it up at verse 8. Actually, verse 6. Because we're going to find Babylon. Okay? So it says, and the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim, and Put and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba and Havilah, and Sabta and Rahama, and Septa. And the sons of Rahama, Sheba and Dedan, and Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. There's speculation about who this man was, but nevertheless, we know there was a Nimrod, and he was a Cushite. Okay, Cush. So Cush is Ethiopia. Okay, and it said he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even in Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. Then he said something. And beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar. So now, when it says Babel, we should understand that that Babel is Babylon. Okay? And we read just to show you the significance of Babylon. This is from Austin and Henry Layard's Nineveh and its Remains, Volume 2, page 440. We have the united testimony of sacred or profane history that idolatry originated in the area of Babylonia, the most ancient of religious systems. So that's where it all began when you're talking about religious or spirituality, as far as false worship, okay? Idolatry. So now let's go to Genesis the 12th, actually Genesis the 11th chapter, because we want to look at one of the sons after the flood, Shem, and we want to look at his his lineage and see who came out of him. So it says Genesis the 11th chapter. These are in 10. Genesis 11 and verse 9. It says, therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. That's talking about from Babel, from the Tower of Babel. And then it says, these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. Okay, so then it's talking about all his relatives that come out of Shem. Then we're going to get even closer in verse to the one we're talking about here. Because Shem was one of the 3 sons of Noah. But let's see one that came out of Shem. This is 26. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. Okay? So now this is where he was from. So now this is where he's at. Okay? In Ur of the Chaldees. Where's Ur of the Chaldees? That's in southern Babylonia or Babylon. Now let's go to Genesis the 12th chapter. Because this one, Abram, is called out of this hub of false worship. This is Genesis the 12th chapter and verse 1. It says, now the Lord has said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. So he's calling him out. So we must come out as well. Come out of all the false worship that we were once in and come into the true and living God that has manifested himself through his word. So again, it says, now the Lord has said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house until a land that I will show thee. So he said, I'm going to bring you into a different place. Okay. Then he says, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. So he manifested himself unto this Abraham, the one we call the father of faith. But now he told him that he was going to have a seed that was going to enter into this promised land. But now let's go to the book of Joshua. Because here in Joshua, he charges the children of Israel. Okay, he charges them with something about how they should walk. This is Joshua, the 24th chapter, and verse 14. It says, now therefore fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth. Now hold your finger here. Let's find out what truth actually is. Let's go to Psalms 119th division. Psalms, we want to pick it up at 119. Psalms 119 and verse 151. So David writes, thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are true. See, you have to serve him according to the criteria. Once you take a criteria off the table, you have no standard of morality, which is what's happening in American society today. There's not even a semblance of morality. So it says, now therefore, I'm in verse 14, Joshua 24 and verse 14. Now therefore, fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth. So he's telling you, you need to serve the Lord in truth. Then he said, put away the gods which your father served on the other side of the flood. Now wait a minute. When he's saying flood here, he means river. And so when he's talking about, when it says, now therefore fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your father served on the other side of the flood, that's talking about the Euphrates River. Okay, that's talking about the Euphrates River. And he's saying, listen, put away all that falsehood, just like Abraham had to put away all that falsehood. Right? Come out of this hub of false worship into a land that I will tell you of. That took faith. He exhibited his faith in doing that. He exhibited his faith in being willing to sacrifice his son. He exhibited his faith in being circumcised at a late age. But Joshua charged the people, nevertheless, he said, now therefore fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and truth. And we understand his commandments are the truth. Then it said, and put away the gods which your father served on the other side of the river and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. So now he's charging them, basically, spiritually speaking, to come out of what they were dealing with. Okay, now let's go to Revelation. This is Revelation. We'll pick it up in the 17th chapter. Revelation, the 17th chapter. And I want to pick it up at verse 1. So now it says, and there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. So now it's this woman who's referred to as a whore that's sitting on many waters. What do the waters represent? Let's go to verse 15. It says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So this woman, which represents a religious organization or institution, okay, has the sway over millions of people. We're going to find out just who this is. So it said, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. This is spiritually speaking. Okay? That's the fornication. That's the false doctrine that's been spread by this woman. Then it says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And that's the reunification of the Roman Empire. You had one head for the lion, 4 heads for the leopard that represented the Greeks. The lion represented Babylon. Excuse me, you had the bear before that. So you had the lion, the bear, the lion, Babylon, the bear, Medo-Persians. And then you had the 4-tiered empire of the Greeks, Casandus, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, and Lysimachus. Okay. So it says, and with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So now this false doctrine is spread, peace to you, brother. This doctrine has spread all throughout the world, throughout time. Okay. So it says in verse 5, now it says something about this woman. It says, upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon, the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Oh, wait a minute. Who is this Mystery Babylon? This, I'll praise the Most High. This Mystery Babylon refers to this institution. And they are perpetuating the Babylonian idolatrous spiritual system. Okay? So now, let's just read it, because he gives us a location. And just so you know, It's because somebody asked, why do people think Babylon is in New York? And you pondering that, look like, I guess that's the emoji saying you pondering that, but he clearly tells us in the Bible, he gives a geographical location, and that's not the woman. Some people say, well, that's Statue of Liberty, that's talking about the woman. No, it's not. Don't you believe it? It's not talking about the United States at all. The United States is not talked about directly in this Bible. But he says in verse 9, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 hairs are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Okay? So now, this woman, what's up, Brother Eula? They watched, he said they watched too much TV. Yeah, New York is not Babylon. Babylon, this one, it say Mystery Babylon the Great, that's written on this whore's forehead. Now, this whore represents the Roman Catholic Church, brothers and sisters. And the Roman Catholic Church is perpetuating this Babylonian spiritual system. When you look behind the veneer of Christianity, you see what was being put forth. I want to read something here from this is from Faith of Our Fathers. This is a Catholic work, and it is on page 106. It says, the penetration of the religion of Babylon became so general and well known that Rome was called the New Babylon. See, Rome, brothers and sisters, where the Catholic Church is headquartered within Vatican City, is in Rome, even though it's its own country. It's within Rome. But this Rome is situated on 7 hills or 7 mountains. Okay, if you ever look that up. So now he says, and here's the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 hairs are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Okay, so now this woman is this whore. Okay, that's what that's referring to. And now that we've identified the one that's perpetuating this spiritual system today, let me read one other thing. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'll wait for that tomorrow. But I did want to read something in John, right? Because we need to do, and I'm gonna expound further on this Babylonian worship. But this is gonna be the last place right now. John, the 4th chapter, and verse 22. Because this is what the Messiah, the Mashiach, tells the Samaritan woman. He says, ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Okay? So now, ultimately, when it comes to how he manifested himself unto a people, he came unto the children of Israel. Nobody else. Okay? Let's go to Romans, the 3rd chapter. Hold up finger here in John 4, just to show you that. I know I said this is the last place, but Romans, the 3rd chapter, in verse 1. Romans 3:1. Romans 3:1 says, what advantage then hath the Jew, or what profit is there of circumcision? Right? So what's the advantage of being a Judean? Yehudi. What's the advantage? He said, much every way chiefly, because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. Again, still hold your finger in John 4. Let's go to Psalms. See, Psalms, give me a second. Give me 1 second to find it. Ugh. Oh, it was one. Oh. 147. said, well, I think 148, 147. So it says, so it's talking about the Most High. It said, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He had not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Okay, so now what's happening? Because when he says salvation is of the Jews, the law, statute, commandments, ordinances, judgments, the covenant was with Israel. That was it. Okay? So if you want to know truth about the true and living Most High, you need to understand that you have to deal with what he gave to this people. Even though right now they in captivity, even though they slaves, even though they black, that's who he gave it to. He didn't give it to no other people. That don't mean other people can't be saved, but if those people want to be saved, they have to come by this way. Okay? Talking about dealing with what was given to Israel. So it says, in verse 21, John 4:21, Jesus saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Then he says something in verse 23. He said, but the hour cometh and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Now, we read that his commandments are the truth. So now, once you come up out of, many of us as adults, we come out of this false worship and come out just like Abraham had to come out. But you coming out according to what you're going to do once you come out. Once you leave that, once you come up out of that, now it's time to take hold of what God said and what he put forth. Okay? You got to worship him in sincerity and truth. And it can't be just how you want to do it. Because he is very specific about what he wants us to do. All right? And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you that we at the Household of Faith meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We live stream right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as at www.israelteach.org. All right? I wanted to remind everyone that this book, For Then Shall Be Great Tribulation, is available right now on Amazon.com. Cop that book. It's breaking down everything you need to know about the Great Tribulation in a concise form from the Bible. It's dispelling false doctrine and showing you what you need. I appreciate you, brother. And with that, brothers and sisters, it is always my prayer that you were edified. I appreciate you.